It was a Saturday like no other. The kind of day that stopped traffic. People weren't just dressing up for any event, they were dressing up for the wedding of the year. Chief Damian Okoye, billionaire hotel tycoon, was getting married again. This time, to a woman young enough to be his daughter Amora Ibe, a former beauty queen with flawless skin, long legs, and eyes that could hypnotize even a lion. The wedding hall looked like a palace. White orchids and golden chandeliers lit up the space. The governor was there. Celebrities were seated. Security was tight. And the media. Everywhere. Inside the hall, the priest smiled at the couple. If anyone has a reason why these two should not be joined together in holy matrimony, let them speak now, or forever hold their peace. The crowd went still. And then, bang! The massive doors at the back flew open. Gasps echoed through the room. Everyone turned. 3 boys, about 14 years old, marched into the hall. Identical height. Identical face. Same outfit. Same boldness. Like ghosts from the past. The priest stepped back. Damian's eyes widened. The boys walked straight to the front, stopping just before the altar. One of them, tall and sharp-tongued, picked the microphone. "My name is Dante. These are my brothers, Denzel and Darren. We are triplets. And this man, Chief Damian Okoye, is our father." Then murmurs. Phones came out. Cameras rolled. Amora's jaw dropped. "This is some sick joke," shouted. "Damian, who are these boys?" Damian didn't answer. His face was pale. The second boy, Denzel, stepped forward and held up a sealed envelope. "This is a DNA test. Our mother did it before she died. It's a 100% match. Chief Damian is our biological father." The priest lowered his head. The guests stared in disbelief. Damian slowly sat down, his breathing heavy. Amora lost it. "Damian, is this true? You fathered 3 boys and never said anything. On our wedding day?" He didn't answer. He just kept staring at the boys like they were ghosts from a life he tried to forget. The crowd was divided. Some blamed the boys. Some blamed the man. Some just wanted more popcorn. But one thing was clear: the wedding was over. As the boys walked out of the hall, the cameras followed them. In the background, Damian finally stood up, but not to defend himself. He walked slowly to the exit, with the same question running through his mind. Could it really be true? Are those boys really mine? A wedding became a scandal. A secret became a headline. And 3 boys dropped a DNA bomb that shook a billionaire's world. The next morning, the whole town exploded with headlines like "Triplets crash billionaire's wedding." "DNA bombshell ruins Chief Damian's big day." People didn't know what shocked them more: the fact that the boys looked exactly alike, or that Chief Damian, the famously private billionaire, had kept such a heavy secret buried for over a decade. Inside his mansion, Damian sat alone in his study. His wedding clothes still hung on the door, untouched. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept. He just kept staring at the DNA test the boys had left behind. The names hit him like a thunderbolt. Dante, Denzel, Darren Okoye. Suddenly, Memories began to return, painful ones. 15 years ago, when he was much younger and still hustling to expand his hotel empire, he met Cynthia. She was a 22-year-old university student, brilliant, humble, and hardworking. She worked part-time as a front desk staff at his Enugu branch. Damian was drawn to her simplicity. Their relationship was brief and not exactly public. He offered her help. She gave him her heart. But when she got pregnant and told him, he panicked. He had just gotten out of a messy divorce. His image was everything. A child out of wedlock. With a student. He denied it. Accused her of lying. Cut her off. And just like that, Cynthia disappeared. Now, after all these years, her children had come back to find him. Damian picked up the phone and called his assistant. Find out everything you can about Cynthia Nwokoi. Where she lived. When she died. Who knew her? I want details. Now. Meanwhile, the triplet boys sat outside a small rented apartment in trances. Their lives had changed overnight. Strangers were following them. Journalists were calling. But deep down, all they really wanted was one thing. Answers. Denzel, why didn't he look for us, even once? Darren, Mom always said he was a good man who made a bad choice. But this hurts. Dante, we didn't come for money. We came for the truth. They remembered their mother's last days. Weak from cancer. Still smiling through pain. She had gathered them one evening and handed them a box. Inside was their birth certificate. Photos of her and Damian. And the DNA test result she never had the chance to deliver. Go and find your father, she had whispered. Even if he never looks for you, find him, and tell him you exist. That night, Damian got word. Cynthia had gone quietly. No funeral with fanfare. Just a small burial in her village. She had never spoken badly of him. Never filed for child support. Never dragged him to court. She just raised her sons with dignity and left behind the truth. Chief Damian sat by his window, eyes full of regret. Cynthia, you gave me sons. And I threw you away. He knew what he had to do. Sometimes the past we bury grows roots. And when the truth comes knocking, you either hide or open the door. The next day, Chief Damian did something unexpected. He showed up alone at the doorstep of a small flat in Sorale. No security. No press. No bodyguards. Just a broken man, standing in front of 3 teenage boys he had never held, never named, but who shared his blood. The door opened. Darren was the first to see him. Denzel stood up slowly. Dante, as usual, spoke first. You found us. Damian nodded. His voice shook. Yes. I found you too late. He walked in. Looked around. Their home was small, too small for triplets. A cracked fan spun slowly above their heads. One mattress was folded in the corner. The table was full of books. Damian sat. I've done terrible things in my life, but nothing hurts like knowing I abandoned you and your mother. She didn't deserve it. And you boys definitely didn't. The boys said nothing. They just listened. I don't want to force anything. I know I've missed too much. But if you let me, I'd like to start again. From today. The room went quiet. Then Denzel asked softly, "Why didn't you come for us when Mom died?" Damian's voice cracked. "Because I didn't know. I only found out after you left the wedding. I failed all of you." They sat in silence for a while. No tears. No hugging. Just four men sitting with a truth too heavy for words. Meanwhile, in the world outside, Amara was raging. Her wedding was in ruins. The media had humiliated her. And Damian. He was nowhere to be found. Her best friend tried to calm her. "You can still fix this. You love him. He'll come back." But Amara had already made up her mind. Fix what? Be a stepmother to 3 teenage boys that look like him? Never. Damian lied to me. He hid them like a dirty secret. He ruined my life. Amara wasn't planning to walk away quietly. She was planning revenge. Later that week, Damian invited the boys to his estate. They arrived in awe. It was the kind of place they only saw on TV, gates taller than houses, security with APCs, and a swimming pool as big as a village square. But Damian wasn't trying to impress them. He wanted them to meet his world. They talked. Ate. Laughed a little. The walls between them were slowly cracking. Dante asked, "So what now? Are we your heirs or just your hidden kids?" Damian smiled sadly. "You're my sons. That's all that matters. Everything else will follow." But he had no idea. Someone was watching from the shadows. Amara. She had hired a private investigator. And what she found would soon become another bombshell. Just when the truth begins to heal, new secrets rise from the ashes. Because not everyone wants a happy ending. The triplets had spent the weekend in their father's mansion. They explored every corner like tourists. The gym, the movie room, the massive library, even the elevator inside the house. It was a dream they didn't ask for, but one that was unfolding fast. Chief Damian was really trying. He asked them questions about school, their late mother, their dreams. Darren said, "I want to become a medical doctor." Denzel said, "I want to study law." Dante said, "I just want to run this empire one day." Damian chuckled. "You boys have my spirit." But behind that laughter, danger was brewing. Elsewhere, Amara met with her lawyer in a private lounge. She was done crying. Done screaming. Now. She was planning. "He humiliated me," she said. "I gave him love. I gave him my youth. And now, he wants to hand everything to 3 village boys." Her lawyer slid a file across the table. "There's something you should see." Amara opened it and smiled slowly. "So he never changed the names on his will?" The lawyer nodded. "You're still listed as next of kin. And there's no official record of those boys anywhere, not in court, not in any adoption registry. Legally, they don't exist." That's all she needed to hear. "Good," she whispered. "Then it's time to make my next move." Back at Damien's mansion, the boys had just finished dinner when the gate security buzzed. It was a surprise visitor. A woman. Young. Dressed elegantly. Red lipstick. She walked in like she owned the place. It was Amara. Dante asked, "What is she doing here?" Denzel said, "Isn't that his ex-fiancée?" Damien stepped out and saw her. His face fell. "Amara, why are you here?" She smiled sweetly. "To forgive you. To fix things. To start again." The boys exchanged suspicious glances. But Damien was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of regrets. He nodded slowly. "Let's talk." 2 nights later, while the boys were asleep, Amara crept into the study and opened Damien's safe. She had memorized the code when they were engaged. Inside were documents, bank statements, business deeds and the old will. She smiled, took photos, and left everything untouched. He still hasn't updated it. These boys may look like him, but legally, they are nothing. I'm the one with power. But what Amara didn't know was Dante had seen her. He wasn't asleep. The next morning, he told his brothers everything. Dante said she's up to something. And Dad needs to know. The next day, the triplets confronted Damien. "You trust her again? After everything?" "She says she's changed. And legally, she's still listed in some of my affairs." "Then change it. Now. Make us official." Damien went quiet. He knew what he had to do. That same week, he went to court. Filed for legal recognition of his sons. Updated his will. Removed Amara from every document. And held a press conference where he publicly acknowledged the triplets as his children and rightful heirs. The internet caught fire again. But this time for a good reason. And as the cameras flashed, he stood proudly beside the boys. "These are my sons, Dante, Denzel, and Darren. They carry my blood. And now, they carry my name. From scandal to healing. From shame to redemption. From strangers to family." But as the sun rose on this new beginning, a storm was still coming. 3 weeks had passed since Chief Damien publicly claimed his sons. The media buzz was settling down. The boys had started settling into their new lives. And for once peace seemed possible. But not for long. One morning, just as breakfast was being served, Damien's lawyer rushed into the mansion, looking troubled. "Chief, we have a problem." "Another one?" "Lawyer, Amara. She's filed a lawsuit to block the will. She's claiming you're mentally unstable and that the boys manipulated you into rewriting your estate." Everyone went silent. "So she wants to erase us again. After everything. We warned you." In court, the drama exploded like fuel on fire. Amara arrived in full glamour, with her lawyers, fake tears, and fake stories. These boys came out of nowhere. No birth records. No school files. Just a DNA test that could have been faked. "I was his fiancée. I know what's best for Damien." Her voice shook as she tried to paint herself as a victim. But when Damien stood to speak, he was calm. Strong. Honest. "Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I abandoned their mother. But those are my sons. The DNA is real. The pain is real. And this is me trying to make things right before I die." The judge turned to the boys. Each of them stood and told their story. How they were raised by a single mother who never spoke evil of their father. How she died with nothing but dignity. How they didn't want money, just truth. The court ruled in their favor. The will stood. Amara's case was thrown out. But the damage to her reputation? Unrepairable. She walked out of the courtroom, humiliated, her name trending for all the wrong reasons. Back at the mansion, Damien gathered his sons. I have one more thing to do. He took them to the village where Cynthia was laid to rest. There, in front of her, he knelt. Cynthia, I failed you. But I promise, I never fail our boys again. Thank you for raising them to be better than I ever was. Tears filled their eyes. Even Dante, the bold one, couldn't hold back. They had found their father. He had found his soul. And together they had found healing. 1 year later, the triplets stood proudly as Damien opened a new hotel branch and named it Cynthia Royal Suites. Darren was preparing for medical school. Denzel was interning at a law firm. Dante was shadowing Damien in board meetings, sharp, driven, and ready to lead. The mansion was no longer just a house. It was a home. And Damien, he had gone from being a billionaire with regrets to a father with purpose. In a world full of secrets, lies, and regrets. Sometimes the loudest truth comes from silence. And sometimes, family finds its way back no matter how broken the road is.